What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Alex, and is Donovan Mitchell becoming a superstar? I've seen this question asked a lot around NBA Twitter, some other different places. People are questioning whether or not Donovan Mitchell has entered the point in his career where you can safely call him a superstar, and that's what I want to talk about in this video. He's in his fourth season in the NBA. He is currently in his fourth playoff run of his career, and I want to take a look at some of his statistics throughout the postseason so far, which is really what matters most when you're looking at whether or not a player is a superstar. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is how you perform in the postseason. The regular season is definitely important, and I think it's definitely become more important, especially with the implementation of the play-in tournament. But I want to look at what he's done so far through the playoffs to take the Jazz to the heights that they have reached so far. There are three things I want to look at in this video. I want to look at some of the factors that go into making a player a superstar, what Donovan Mitchell has done so far to make his case for being a superstar, and then at the end, I want to go over whether or not I think Donovan Mitchell is or is not a superstar. Before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, my name is Alex. I'm posting NBA content almost every single day, so if you're a big NBA fan, please be sure to hit that subscribe button, turn that notification bell on. Let's aim for 10 likes on this video. You guys have been killing it lately. So with all that being said, let's jump right into the video. So Donovan Mitchell and the Utah Jazz were the best team in the NBA this year, judging by record. They were the first team in NBA history to attempt 40% of their shots from three-point range and hit them at a 40% clip. They have Sixth Man of the Year Jordan Clarkson. They have another Sixth Man of the Year candidate on their team in Joe Ingles. He was the runner-up. They also have Defensive Player of the Year Rudy Gobert, as well as Coach of the Year candidate Quinn Snyder. They also have a young all-star in Donovan Mitchell. And looking at the stats for the season for Donovan Mitchell, he averaged 26 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, and 5 assists. He shot 44% from the field and a career-high 39% from three-point range for an effective field goal percentage of 52%. He also shot 85% from the line. So pretty good stats from him, just judging off of the box score. He was also securing a steal per game and only averaging 3 turnovers per game. So good stuff for him. This was his second season being selected to an all-star team, so congrats to him. We're going to be able to watch him for a long time. What makes a player a superstar? Now, obviously, you need to be putting up big numbers every single night. Typically, a superstar is judged by how many points they score per game, or how many double-doubles they get, or how many triple-doubles they get, how good their team is. Another factor that goes into making a player a superstar is marketability. You know, how many highlight plays are they getting on a nightly basis? Are they fun to watch on the court? Do they draw eyes? Do they draw viewers to their games? What kind of post-game interviews are they giving? Things like that are what makes a player a superstar. Now, you can have a player that averages, 30 points per game. Let's take a look at Bradley Beal, for example. Bradley Beal averaged 30 points per game this season, one of the best scorers in the entire NBA. But if I had to venture to guess, I would say that most players don't consider Bradley Beal a superstar. You can look at a few different factors for this. It could be team success. It could be flashiness. It could be the fact that he was playing alongside Russell Westbrook, who is a player that is very ball dominant, is electric in his own right on the court. It could be due to the fact that he plays in Washington, D.C., which isn't necessarily one of the bigger NBA markets in the NBA. So that's a quick rundown of what I kind of look at when I'm trying to determine whether or not a player is a superstar. Do they have the numbers? Do they have that electricity that you need on the court, that flashiness? And are people tuning in to watch simply because of that player? Now, going into Donovan Mitchell, let's take a look at some of the check boxes that he marks off. Does he have the numbers? Well, in the regular season, it doesn't really look like it per se. I mean, 26 points per game is absolutely great, don't get me wrong, but his efficiency, particularly from the field, not necessarily from three-point range, because we all know that Donovan Mitchell is a great three-point shooter. As far as shooting from the field goes, he's not necessarily the best shooter in the world. He only shoots 44%, which isn't terrible by any means, but he is below average in effective field goal percentage. He is an all-star. He does have all-star numbers. The fact that he averaged 25 plus points per game puts him into that conversation. Now, the way Donovan Mitchell plays, let's take a look at that, because I think that's one of the most important things when looking at whether or not a player is a superstar. And Donovan Mitchell plays with so much intensity. He plays with so much passion. He plays with so much fire. The dunks that he throws down are absolutely ferocious. We saw him in that dunk contest, which he subsequently won. Donovan Mitchell is a super fun player to watch. Not a lot of people really know that simply because he plays in Utah. Utah is one of the smaller markets in the NBA. Utah in general has a bad reputation among NBA fans for a multitude of different reasons that we're not going to cover in this video. So Donovan Mitchell does have that factor working against him. Now, looking at the playoffs, it's a little bit different of a story because we all remember last year, Donovan Mitchell only averaged 24 points per game in the regular season, but then you go to the playoff bubble and Donovan Mitchell was averaging 36 points per game. He almost broke the playoff scoring record in a single game. So then you look at this year's playoffs and he's averaging 32.3 points per game. It is incredibly impressive when you look at the fact that this is the 11th highest points per game average in NBA playoff history. He's up there in conversations with guys like Michael Jordan, Wilt Chamberlain, Bob McAdoo, Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, Hakeem Olajuwon. He's right there with those guys. So what he has been doing is incredibly impressive. Currently averaging 32.3 points per game. He's shooting 44% from three, almost 50% from the field. He has an effective field goal percentage of 57.5%. And this is something that I also look at when determining whether or not a player is a superstar, is how do they perform in the playoffs? Because we've seen players like Giannis Antetokounmpo, who I absolutely love. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA. But come playoff time, sometimes his play can kind of decline a little bit. There's a multitude of players around the NBA that you can look at, and everyone always has these conversations of these players shrink in the playoffs. So Donovan Mitchell, fortunately, is one of those players that just doesn't shrink in the playoffs. He actually tends to get better just looking at the raw numbers. So he checks off the boxes of stats. He checks off the boxes of the way that he plays. His dunking is incredible. The shots that he's able to hit from range are absolutely insane. So do I think that Donovan Mitchell is a superstar? If he's not already a superstar, he is right on that cusp of being a superstar. He is definitely in the conversation simply because of the numbers that he's putting up in this playoff run and how he has elevated this Jazz team. Obviously, Rudy Gobert plays a massive impact in making this Jazz team what it is, but I think you can have that same conversation for Donovan Mitchell as well. I think it's fair to say that he is in the conversation to be a superstar if he is not already. He has the Utah market working against him, but if we're being honest, the numbers back themselves up. The way he plays, he backs it up. So I think saying Donovan Mitchell is a superstar is not the most crazy thing in the world. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you're new, it really helps me out. Leave a like on this video. Let's try to get 10 likes on this video. And if you're returning, thank you so much for supporting me. We just hit 500 subscribers, which was absolutely awesome. Let's go for 1,000 before the end of the year, and I will see you guys in the next video.